Welcome back to the All Hazards Prepper Show, your go-to spot for all your disaster prep information and how to survive wild SHTF scenarios. Plus, we'll chat about the chaos of the world, throw in weather updates, and cover any topics the All Hazards Prepper has in his head this week. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform and join us on social media. Now, let's welcome your fearless leader and the brains behind the All Hazards Prepper, Blake.
Welcome back to the All Hazards Prepper Show. This is your host, Blake. Hope everyone is having a great day out there. Had a great Thanksgiving last week and is getting ready for the Christmas season and winter weather. And that's what we're here today to talk about. A little situational update, a couple minutes, and then we'll move into a topic that I've been meaning to hit on for the last few weeks. Been a little busy. But we are going to talk about winter weather preparedness, cold weather preparedness, snow preparedness, all the stuff winter weather. So we'll be talking about that today. Certainly want to make sure, this is the All Hazards Prepper podcast. So we want to make sure that we're covering all hazards. And winter weather, if fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your likes and dislikes, is a hazard. So we got to prepare for it. Situational update in the weather world. Most of the U.S. Is going to be, if not already, experiencing a cold snap. I know here in the southeast part of the nation, we're looking at temperatures falling down into the east next week, which is looking in the climate point of view is rare for this time of year. Not completely rare, but it is not unheard of, but it is kind of rare to see temperatures drop into the 20s and low 50s during the day. Usually this time of year, some years you could just pull out your shorts and go to the pool, but this year might not be that year. Anyway, parts of the Northeast currently are seeing crazy amounts of snow. Me and my wife are up in the Northeast but last week, and we could see them preparing for snow. But the lake effect snow is in full effect right now. If you live in some of the areas around the Great Lakes, I've seen highs of 40 inches or more, which is crazy to think of. I've seen it a couple times or once in my life, but it's a lot of snow. So anyway, it's going to get cold, people. It's going to get cold. We're going to see winter patterns start moving across the U.S. And really, we got to make sure we're prepared for these things. So the key thing, first I'm going to talk about just general winter weather, what's out there. A little bit, I'm not a meteorologist. I try to be, but I'm not a meteorologist. Maybe I'll get someone on again to talk about more of the meteorology factors in winter weather. But I think the first thing, even as an emergency manager and as a weather geek, I will say that winter weather is so hard to predict. Just like hurricanes, winter weather is so hard to predict. It's it's really, you got a lot of different factors that are moving. Maybe not as many as like a hurricane, but you got to have moisture. You got to have cold air. The winter times, these systems have to set up right. If you live in the parts of the Northeast or the West or Alaska or something like that, you're going to see snow more often, and it's a little bit easier to say that you are going to have snow this year. But down south, here, or even in parts of the West, like Texas, even though we have seen lately, last few years, northern Texas getting quite a few systems come through, which they are very ill prepared for. But it's really hard to predict in this area when it's going to happen, what it's going to do, and how much is going to how much what you're going to get of that product. If it's snow, if it's ice, if it's just freezing rain. I've been through many ice storms, and I much rather deal with a bunch of snow rather than a bunch of ice. Ice is just not fun to deal with in many aspects. Anyway, you really, in your area, you need to know some basic meteorology. If you lived in your area long enough, what it can do in the winter. If you live on Lake Erie or Lake Ontario or somewhere up north, that you're going to see a lot of snow. You know how to prepare for it. If you're in the south, you may not be as prepared. And so when these systems, kind of comes up, people freak out. They go to the grocery store, and next thing you know, bread and milk is gone. Never understood the bread and milk theory, but it will fly off the shelves faster than you can think of. Anyway, if you live in these areas, you kind of know what your winter weather is. If you live in the South or, parts of the mountain areas of the South, you might see more snow. If you live in a more coastal area that you might not see snow at all, you may see a freezing rain type of precipitation come out. So you need to just kind of know a little bit about what happens in your region with winter weather. Just like with hurricanes, tropical weather, with any type of weather, you need to know this with winter weather first. So let's talk about preparedness. First, let's just talk about yourself. Just everyday yourself. Making sure that you have layers on. If it is going to be 20 degrees as a high, some parts of the U.S., that's what it is during the day. With wind chill, when we talk about wind chill, that is the temperature plus the wind that makes the chill, if you will, in the air. Layman's terms there is a good way to explain that. So when you hear, it feels like this temperature, that's usually the wind chill. Or you look on the weather service and it says wind chill of, whatever. That's what you really need to look at and prepare for. And really, especially whenever you're trying to prepare for what you're going to wear and how you're going to go on with your day. So wearing layers, if you have a coat on, have a coat in your car is definitely a good thing. We'll talk about that in a minute, but making sure that you layer layers, that you stay hydrated, stay moisturized. I know it's kind of weird to say, but use lotion. Your hands and other areas that are exposed will get dry really fast in the winter. I've already started using my humidifier. Usually during the winter months, the air is drier. It's usually worse on your skin, worse on your nose. With me, I get nosebleeds. My wife does as well. So we start using the humidifier at night. We just run it. We have a cool mist humidifier, and I just run it every night. And on a low setting, if it's really dry or we feel really dry, I'll set it up a little bit. But making sure you do that as well. Other health type things, just know, the signs of hypothermia, of, making sure, if you start, feeling that you just can't, your body cannot get warm. If you're if you're working outside, if you're, a labor intensive job outside, making sure that you, stay hydrated still, even in the winter, you're still going to sweat, especially if you're wearing layers, or even if you're not sweating, you need to hydrate as well. And just kind of know those signs of hypothermia. Certainly don't get in water if you don't have to in the winter, not a good idea. But that's some ways of doing that. Making sure you wear hats and gloves, especially if it's a crazy wind chill and you don't want to get frostbite. Know the signs of frostbite. If your skin starts getting numb, purple, blue, you start losing feeling in an extremity like your fingers or your hands or your feet or toes. Definitely important. Definitely make sure you have some good shoes in the winter, especially if you're going through snow, and making sure that you have waterproof shoes so that way your feet aren't getting wet. Using insulated socks. I started using, is it Merlino wool socks? I might have the name wrong, but anyway, I think it starts with an M, Merlino, socks, and they're really good moisture wicking socks. So making sure you use things like that are important. Next, let's talk about your car. I'm shooting this podcast today from my truck, which I tend to do whenever it's just me because I can. But if you, if you're, just commuting a couple miles, or if you're commuting, 30, 40 miles a day, you need to have some items for preparedness in your car. First thing, and I just did this last week because I knew it was going to get cold. I drain my windshield wiper fluid. I have a summer fluid for bugs, and in the winter, I use a de-icer. Do that with your car. It's the best thing in the world. If you get in your car and you don't have a remote start, fortunately in my new vehicle I do, but I used to not. If that windshield's icy, spraying, just spraying, doing your normal wiper fluid procedure in your car, and then that just, gets the ice off. Plus, you don't want a lot of summer grade windshield wiper fluid freezes. So definitely want to make sure to do that. Continue with oil changes, things like that. Maybe in the winter you switch to a synthetic grade, which is a little bit better oil. Making sure you have antifreeze in your car. Your antifreeze is good. Really keeping up with your car maintenance. Usually in the winter, if it hasn't already, especially when temperatures drop and then come up and drop and come up, your tire pressure becomes an issue. Making sure that your tires have good pressure, good tread as well. Don't run around with a bad tread. If you got a four-wheel drive, make sure the four-wheel drive's working. Usually, like every other month, if I'm in a parking lot or something, I'll turn the four-wheel drive on high and just kind of go slow, making sure that four-wheel drive system's going. Making sure your car's maintenance-wise is good. Things that other maintenance type things I carry in the car in the winter. I carry a de-icer that's like a spray bottle, which is great. If it, the side window gets frozen or something like that. I tend to carry some lubricant type stuff for the locks and the door hinges. Usually in the winter, especially if you have an older car, if you got ice and your door locks tends to freeze, that's important to have. Having a good ice scraper and a good snow brush. Just saw today is Amazon or Black Friday, so today they had ice scrapers and snow brushes on sale. They needed a new one, so I ordered one today. And just making sure you have that type of stuff. If you live in an area that's got snow, even if you're going to get a lot of snow, or even if you know the snow is coming and you're going to have to drive, making sure you have a shovel, some kitty litter. Kitty litter works wonders whenever you're stuck for some traction. I also carry traction boards in my truck just because sometimes I go off-road and need some extra traction if I get stuck. When I was out west, that was a big, great thing to have. Don't really use them here in the south a whole lot, but they're there if I need them. So that's good to have. Other things to keep in your car, just the basics. Make, like we always talk about, the food, the water, maybe putting a more blanket in there, putting a blanket in there. I know a lot of people have the little heated seats things. If you don't have a heated seats in your car, you can buy like an aftermarket, like type cushion thing to sit on. So that's good as well. What else for the car? Having a backup charger for your batteries, for your phone. Another thing I forgot when the vehicle maintenance, make sure your battery is good in the winter. Your car battery, I usually change it every 3 to 4 years. Change your car battery out. That will help you in the long run, and make sure that your car's battery is good. Most auto shops, you can go in and they'll test it free for you. Most places will even install one, or a local auto shop will do that as well. So really, within your car, just those basics that we always talk about: flashlights, extra clothes are good, things like that. Home preparedness. Let's talk about home preparedness. Again, make sure your home is maintenance sound. Have your HVAC system checked out. The worst thing in the world, rather than if it's 100 degrees outside and the AC goes out, is when it's 20 degrees and the heat goes out. So make sure whatever heating source, if you're using a heat strip or heat pump, or you're using wood. Some some people still use wood to heat their homes, or if you're using a furnace or something, making sure those units are good and prepared. Changing your filters out. Making sure your doors and windows are good and sealed. If you live in a house that has an older pipe system, definitely during the nights of when it gets colder and you're not using that water as much, keep a faucet or two dripping, and making sure underneath the house especially, or if exposed pipes are covered with an insulation. Outside, I would drain all your hoses. I would put the insulation caps over your faucets. That really will make sure that those are protected as well. And if you have alternative power sources, so like generators and stuff, making sure those are working. What else on the home wise? A lot of people, making sure you have supplies. We won't cover that a whole lot because we do that a lot here on the All Hazards Prepper Show. But making sure you have that kit, making sure your generator's good, you got backup power, in mind. With snowstorms and ice storms, that tends to happen. Cutting down, trees around your house, making sure that, if there's a tree or a limb that's kind of hanging low near your home, making sure that's taken care of well before a storm occurs. You don't want to be out there just like a hurricane, 2 days before the storm or the winter storm comes, and you're out there trying to cut down trees. You don't want to do that. So making sure those are done well in advance. If you have a chainsaw or multiple chainsaws, or really anything that could use to cut limbs and stuff, making sure that's well prepared, that you got plenty of mixed gas, and the chainsaw is well oiled and you got a good sharp blade on it, or sharp chain. clean, making sure that's as good as well. Really with the home stuff, and this is, if you rent or even if you're in an apartment, making sure, these things are prepared because you don't want to have to go call and maintenance or, or a guy out to, or a person out to your house to try to fix this during the storm. They likely will not be able to come. So those are just some things that, basic things that a lot of people, I hope think about, but maybe not. Maybe I pointed out some good ideas today. I'll definitely tag or bring in some other ideas as we go, and try to find a meteorologist maybe come on and talk a little bit about how winter systems set up and all of that. With this as well, making sure that you have trusted, reliable sources. A lot of times I have found that your local media does a great job whenever it comes to winter weather. They know the area, they know the terrain, they know what they're working with, so they may be able to tell you a little bit better how the winter storm is going to set up. As always, make sure you follow your National Weather Service office. They are the subject matter experts on forecasting and all that. All the watches and warnings that come out do come from the National Weather Service. They have some great information on preparedness as well. So that is what I have for today for winter preparedness. If you got any other winter tips or tricks, drop them in the comments below. Leave a comment on the show. Other people can see that as well. Or leaving a comment if you're on social media and you see this on a Facebook or Instagram or X post or wherever else I've posted, making sure you check us out there. And if anyone is interested in being on the show about winter preparedness, I am happy to have you on. Shoot me a message or an email, theallhazardsprepper@gmail.com, and I am happy to get you on as well. I hope everyone stays safe out there. Remember to stay aware, stay prepared, and stay alive. Everyone have a great week. The All Hazards Prepper out.
Are you interested in being on the All Hazards Prepper Show? We are always looking for new guests to be on, whether you are new to prepping or been doing it for years. We want to hear your story. Click the link in the show description below to contact us.